Hey guys, what's going on? James here, and in today's video I have some players that you all need to look out for in Buccaneers Week 1 versus the San Francisco 49ers. First group that I want to talk about is the Buccaneers offensive line, and I know a lot of people are worried about this group. I'm still not too worried about it. I think when everything is said and done, I think that the Buccaneers offensive line will be fine, but I have seen a lot of your guys' complaints on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, in the comments section. A lot of you are worried about this Buccaneers offensive line, and I felt that I should address it here. So far up to this point in preseason and even in training camp a little bit, I will say the Buccaneers offensive line has looked pretty inconsistent, all things considered. Ali Marpet's looked pretty good. Donovan Smith, he's had his good moments, but he's also had his very not so good moments as well, and you can also say the same for guys like DeMar Dodson and Alex Kappa, and even Ryan Jensen to a certain degree. I would say that Ryan Jensen has probably been our second best offensive lineman so far, but Donovan Smith, Alex Kappa, DeMar Dodson, they definitely need to improve some things, and I think one of the biggest things here right now is communication. We've heard, time in and time again that there's been some communication errors with the offensive line. That needs to get ironed out relatively quickly here, because you're going up against the San Francisco 49ers defensive line that's pretty darn good. You have Nick Bosa, you have Solomon Thomas, you have DeForest Buckner, and you have Eric Armstead. All of those guys that I just mentioned are former first-round draft picks since 2015. So the Buccaneers offensive line is definitely going to have its work cut out for it. So pay attention to some of these guys like Donovan Smith, DeMar Dodson, Alex Kappa. Those are probably the three biggest guys to pay attention to. And also pay attention to a guy like Ryan Jensen and Ali Marpet, especially I would say Ryan Jensen, because from what I've seen in preseason and in training camp, he's still showing that fire and still showing that pretty darn good leadership, in my opinion, of, don't mess with my team, don't mess with Jameis Winston, because that's my quarterback, and if you mess with Jameis Winston, I'm going to knock you down. So really pay attention to the attitude of the offensive line and their overall play going forward. Next person I want to say to keep an eye on is Jameis Winston himself, who, again, a lot of people have been very hot and cold on. Some people have said he's looked a lot better, myself included, and then we've also seen other people say, well, he's not looking that good, he's still looking like old Jameis, da-da-da-da-da. You guys know the drill at that point, and, I'm going to disagree with those naysayers here. I'm going to say that Jameis Winston, all things considered, again, he's looked improved. He's making smarter decisions, he's not looking as erratic with the ball as we've seen him look in the past few years, and it's definitely looking like Bruce Arians and Byron Leftwich are having a certain effect on Jameis Winston and his play. But still, this is going to be an important thing to watch for Winston, because one, it's his first game with this new offense and with Bruce Arians and with Byron Leftwich and the entire coaching staff in a regular season game, so you want to keep an eye on with that. And also, we just want to see how Jameis Winston improves with his decision making. Is he going to throw the ball in triple coverage, or is he going to check it down? How is he going to do with scrambling? How is he going to do with reading defenses? How is he going to do evading pressure? I think that all in all, we're really going to see an improved Jameis Winston here, especially when it comes to making the decision to just check the ball down to the running back or tight end. I really think that that's going to be a really, really large part of Jameis Winston's improvement this year, and I expect to see a lot of it this year in terms of him checking the ball down, making smarter decisions, and overall looking like a better quarterback than what we've seen in the past few years. And that isn't to say that I think that Jameis Winston has been a bad quarterback the past few years. I actually think that he's going to show very similar signs of what we saw in 2016 whenever he had arguably his best year of his career up to this point. I think we will see very similar production to what that was, but I think that we're going to see less interceptions because Jameis Winston is just going to be making better decisions as the weeks and months go on. Next two guys that I want to talk about to keep an eye on are Ronald Jones, Rojo, and Peyton Barber. These are two guys that you really need to keep an eye on because, quite frankly, Bruce Arians has even said himself that it seems like he's probably going to go with the hot hand at the running back position. Now, yeah, I guess you could also lump in Dario Ogunbowale in this group. I guess we can do that. So pay attention to Rojo, pay attention to Peyton Barber, pay attention to Dario Ogunbowale because they're still battling for those first string touches for this offense, okay? We've seen some good things from Rojo. We've seen some good things from Peyton Barber, and we've seen some good things from Dare Ogunbowale. And the way Bruce Arians does things is just because you're a former second-round draft pick or you're a former, draft pick, period, doesn't mean you're going to get special treatment. If you're going out there and you're showing that you can play, you're going to get playing time. So pay attention to guys like Peyton Barber, Ronald Jones, Dare Ogunbowale. All of them have shown massive improvement from last year, both as runners and as receiving backs as well. and even in pass blocking to a certain degree. So I'm very interested to see what the carrying is going to be doled out between all three of these running backs. Who's going to get the most carries? Who's going to get the second most carries? Who's going to get the third most carries? It's going to be something to pay attention to. Obviously, Bruce Arians, he could definitely ride the hot hand like some people are speculating him to do. So pay attention to all three of these guys and see who comes out on top and see who really, makes a mark in this upcoming game. Shifting now to the defensive side of the ball, pay attention to Devin White, okay? Because obviously he's the big draft pick. The Buccaneers took him with the 5th overall pick in this most recent draft, and it's going to be his first regular season game as a Tampa Bay Buccaneer. We've seen him play in training camp. We've seen him play in the preseason, but now this is when the games matter, and you're going to have Devin White, you're going to have Levante David, you're going to have Shaq Barrett, and you're going to have Carl Nassib as your starting linebacking core. I'm very, very excited for this linebacking core. I think they're going to do some really, really, really good things. I'm very excited to see everybody play, especially Devin White. We've heard all the talk, and we've seen some flashes of the speed, the agility, the athleticism that he brings, and the blitzing ability that he brings as well, especially with Todd Bowles really letting things loose now that it's the regular season in terms of his defensive scheming and his blitzing. I think that we're going to see, the full potential of Devin White on display in week 1 in terms of him going up against the run game and blitzing the quarterback and pass coverage as well. I think we're going to see a very, very, very explosive and aggressive defense, and I think that Devin White's going to be a big part of that. Next two guys you need to keep an eye out for are Vernon Hargreaves III and Carlton Davis. These are two guys who are the Buccaneers starting cornerbacks right now. And at first there was a little bit of competition with guys like Jamel Dean, Sean Murphy Bunting, among others. But since that, initial push, it seems like that Vernon Hargreaves III and Carlton Davis, they've really run away with these two starting jobs. And I don't see it changing anytime soon. Vernon Hargreaves III, he's had loads of potential since the Buccaneers drafted him back in 2015. It's just a shame because he keeps on getting hurt. Every time we see a good stretch of play from a guy like Vernon Hargreaves, he always comes down with an injury that puts him out for a significant amount of time. I think that if Vernon Hargreaves stays healthy, he really, really is going to start looking like a really good cornerback for this team. It's just all a matter of him staying healthy. The San Francisco 49ers wide receiving core is very, very fast, very agile, and it's going to be something that Vernon Hargreaves and both Carlton Davis are going to have to contend with. In the case of Carlton Davis, former second-round draft pick in last year's draft, and he had a very, very, very good rookie season, in my opinion. He was, basically thrust into that second starting cornerback job next to Brent Grimes last year after Vernon Hargreaves went down, and I think that he delivered in pretty well fashion, I would say so. Obviously, it wasn't perfect. He did have some hiccups here or there, but I think all things considered, he did a very good job in his rookie season, and so far up to this point going into week 1, he's looked very, very good again, so I'm expecting big things from both Vernon Hargreaves and Carlton Davis. Next, you have Ndamukong Suh and Vita Vea, the two big guys on the Buccaneers defensive line who I expect to cause a lot of panic for opposing offenses during this season. This is going to be their first big test. The 49ers offensive line, it isn't great, but it isn't terrible either, and this is going to be a really good test for both Ndamukong Suh and Vita Vea. Ndamukong Suh played with the Rams last year, so he has some experience going up against this 49ers offensive line. He can teach Vita Vea a thing or two and really to get some things going, not just in the pass rush, but in the run game as well. I really expect Vita Vea to do better as a run stuffer than a pass rusher, but that's where Ndamukong Suh comes in, because I think Suh is going to do better at both. He's kind of that big-time guy who can do it all, so I think that's going to also help out Vita Vea a lot in the pass rush as well. I just expect both these guys to do a really, really good job. They're two of the best players on this Buccaneers defense right now, and I expect big things from both of them in run defense and in pass defense as well. Finally, the last two guys I want to talk about are the special teams unit. You have Matt Gay and Bradley Pinion. Let's talk about Bradley Pinion first, because one, this is a revenge game for him, and I will talk about that in the official Buccaneers Week 1 preview video that I'll be doing here in a little bit, but it is going to be a revenge game from Bradley Pinion, and I'll be honest, I'm a little worried about Bradley Pinion and his punting. I was not not impressed at all in the preseason with how much distance his punts were getting in these preseason games. Now, fair credit, it's not all of his fault. The punt blocking was absolutely atrocious at certain points, so I will think that that would play a factor into how far his punts would be going. He was basically getting players pushed into him while he was punting, but I definitely want to see some improvement. I definitely want to see some longer distance punts, because that's a big deal. If you don't punt far enough and the opposing team's getting the ball at midfield or even in Buccaneers territory to start their drive, that's not going to help out anything. So I want to see some improvement from Bradley Pinion moving forward, especially considering that he's playing his revenge game. Now, in the case of Matt Gay, let's just see some not even some improvement. Let's just continue to see what makes Matt Gay a great kicker. He obviously beat out Cairo Santos in the kicking battle. I believe Cairo Santos actually just signed with the Tennessee Titans, so shout out to Cairo Santos for getting a new job. That's good for him. But Matt Gay, he beat out Cairo Santos. He's the kicker. Let's see what he can do. He's looked absolutely impressive the entire training camp, the entire preseason, and now coming into the regular season. I want to continue to see that greatness from Matt Gay. I want him to hit the long field goals, but I also want him to hit the short-range field goals as well, because we need those points, man. We need those points. We need a consistent kicker. I'm sick and tired of talking about kicking curses, and oh man, Matt Bryant screwed us, and darn it, we can never find a kicker. I want that to end. So Matt Gay, keep doing your thing, man. Let's keep on going. But guys, that's pretty much it for this video. Do you have any other players that you want me or other Bucs fans to keep an eye on? If so, let me and everybody else know down in the comments section below what players you're looking out for, as well as other players that you may be keeping an eye on. But thank you guys so much for watching this video. Hope you all enjoyed. But until the next video or the next live stream, I'll see you in the next one. But until then, and as always, guys, goodbye for now, and go Bucs!